Hello, everyone, and welcome to a New Year's edition of Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski. Modifications necessary in the ever-changing sports world, and it's also a holiday week. So we figured, why not give Jay and Tom a little break, save some miles on the car, and do this week's show virtually. Hey, Happy New Year, fellas.
Happy New Year, Todd.
And look, it does not matter if we're all sitting here in the studio or spread out across the Commonwealth. There's still plenty to discuss in our opening drive. Let's start with the number of players opting out of the Outback. Adding up on both sides, we'll show you a video of Jahan Dotson, Jaquan Brisker, Arnold Ebiketie. Significant number of big contributors not suiting up. A chance for others to step up in a big game, Jay.
Well, you know, it's almost like you're looking at a spring game for next year. I mean, you're really focused on the kids that are coming back and some of the younger guys. And who knows, maybe we see Lucetta move to linebacker a little bit, or one of the safeties move up and play some linebacker. So I'll be curious, you know, people have to keep an eye on how they make some adjustments.
Yeah, for sure, Jay. I think the thing is, too, you know, like it's just like the old saying, sudden change. A little adversity doesn't hurt anybody, right? And you may see some people step up, and, boy, it's a good start for next year. They get some experience and see how they play.
Now, look, a lot of people will focus on the players not involved in the game, but the vast majority are still ready to go, and they face Arkansas. So, Tom, talk to us about the week leading up to the game, the practice, preparation, some of the other fun stuff that you've enjoyed and you get to do at the bowl site.
Well, obviously, I'm sure it's quite a little different this year what they're doing because of the COVID. But, boy, there's nothing like going down there and you're all there together. We should get on early, you know, 4 or 5 days early and be down there and take a couple days off for Christmas and then get right into game week. But I always enjoyed the camaraderie and being with the guys, and everybody's family was down there. And I thought it was a real experience for everybody to spend some quality time together. And, you know, I always enjoyed it, and we had a lot of success. I think we were like 10-4 when we started to do it that way. So it was a good way to also, you know, you're still down there to win the darn game, and you want the guys to have a good time and all, but you're there for a purpose still.
Jay, what about implementing that offense? How would that process go, or the game plan offensively?
Well, you want to try before you get into that game week, because there are distractions and there's dinners and amusement parks and all that kind of stuff. You want to have things kind of tied up a little bit so that you're not ready to go, but you're close before you get in the game week. And then once game week starts, you just throw a couple of wrinkles at them here and there so they don't get bored and that they're still paying attention to meetings because there's a couple changes. And that's really the biggest thing you got to do.
And for the guys, for the Nittany Lions, for the Outback Bowl just ahead, they're all say they're ready to go.
Yeah, you know, it's an opportunity for them to, you know, gain more experience, you know, get some game reps. You know, they've been preparing well throughout the whole season, so I'm looking forward to a bunch of guys.
Well, let's talk about what's trending for a second. Penn State only 2-5 in their final 7 games. They were reeling down the stretch. Meanwhile, the 21st-ranked Razorbacks get their act together in late autumn in order to buck the trend. Jay and Tom, you say the Nittany Lions, they have to find the right balance.
I think when you look at Arkansas, they have the kind of balance offensively that you would hope to have. And if you look at the numbers, you know, they're 217 a game rushing, 223 passing. They're only one of only 16 teams in the country that has 200 in both areas. And Tom, you know, you've faced offenses like that as a coordinator. How tough is it when a team can do both?
Well, I think it gets really tough, Jay, because the down and distance factors now are a little bit different. What they like to do, they're not afraid to, you know, to run the ball in pass situations. Okay, they've got a great run game, obviously, because of their head coach was an offensive line guy. So, you know, they're not afraid to run the ball in some situations where normally you'd be expecting pass.
If you look at their quarterback, you know, KJ Jefferson, you take a look at where he ranks with some of the quarterbacks Penn State's already played. Obviously, Stroud from Ohio State's second in the country in passing efficiency. Jefferson is 7th. Very underrated nationally. A lot of people don't know about him. You have to be ready for that as well.
You know, you better keep him in the pocket because he can run the ball, and I think that's going to be the pressure point of this game, is making sure that he doesn't get out of that pocket, because he does. He's very dangerous, you know, when he's on the move too.
Yeah, and Todd, on the flip side with the run game, you know, when you look at historically since 1945, when they really started keeping run stats every game, you know, if you look at there's been 2 seasons in the last 7 years where Penn State's really had the lowest totals they've had. 2014 in the regular season had 1,243 yards. 2021 only 1,277. So hopefully, maybe this is a time to add some wrinkles. One of the great things about bowl games, you got a little extra time, you can add some wrinkles. Certainly in 2007, we put in a whole package for Darryl Clark. In 2005, we had a trap play that Florida State hadn't seen. And I think Tom was a special teams coordinator in 82 when they put a middle punt return against Georgia that gave him fits. So I'll be curious to see what Penn State and Arkansas come up with as change-up for the game.
Well, for this week's Scrap Metal, Tom, we stick with the blue and white, but honor someone from a different sport.
And how can you not honor Russ Rhodes? The head women's volleyball coach at Penn State ended up with 1,309 wins, 218 losses. He's got the highest winning percentage of any Penn State athletic coach in history. That's 7 NCAA championships, most ever by any coach in that sport. 17 Big Ten champs, 15 times he was named Big Ten Coach of the Year, 5 times National Coach of the Year. He had 64 All-Americans, 74 All-Big Ten players, 100 academic All-Big Ten, 109 wins in a row at one point, and he never posted fewer than 22 wins in a season. Congratulations to Russ Rhodes on just an outstanding career, and proud to give him the Scrap Metal Award this week for sure.
That's some serious credentials there. Congrats to Russ Rhodes on a phenomenal coaching career with the Nittany Lions. Still to come, our scouting report. Time for a deep dive on the Outback opponent. Coach Paterno and Coach Bradley dissect the Razorbacks offense and defense to show you what to look for during the game. More Nittany Game Week after this.
Scouting Report is sponsored by Penn State Health, giving you the care you want, where you want it. Visit PennStateHealth.org to find a provider near you.
We are back on Nittany Game Week, 5 weeks between games. That's a lot of time to rest and recuperate from the regular season. It's also a lot of time to study your bowl opponent. In this case, Arkansas in the Outback. We extend the scouting report a little bit this week to give Coach Paterno and Coach Bradley ample opportunity to break down the Razorbacks.
Thanks, Todd. As you mentioned, we've got a little bit longer scouting report segment because with bowls, there are a lot of tape to look at, a lot of things, and they may add some wrinkles here and there. So we're going to get into Arkansas's offense to talk about that a little bit, Tom.
You've been in the bowl situation. You know, the whole thing here is what do you do, what do you don't do? How much do you add, what do you don't add? What are they going to do? But the problem is you don't want to do too much, create ghosts, because you want to be able to play fast at bowl games and be able to adjust.
Absolutely. In Arkansas, let's talk about with their quarterback running the ball. Very, very good. A lot of north-south. They'll fake the ball, let him run north and south and get after you. And this guy's very, very effective when he runs with the football.
Well, he's their leading rusher. I mean, he's the guy that gets the whole thing going. But once again, Coach Pittman is an offensive line coach. When the head coach is an offensive line coach, you are going to run the football.
Yeah, and he's going to come after you. Let's talk about some other things he does as well. He gets out of the pocket. One of the things really impressive about this guy, 21 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. When he scrambles, he steps up, keeps his eyes downfield, and finds receivers downfield, Tom.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about him. I liked his awareness at all times. If you watch, the more I watched him play, the more impressed I was with him and where his awareness, where everybody is.
That's one of the hardest things to do is to get guys to duck up under and out and keep their eyes downfield. Now let's talk about their offensive line. You mentioned it. This is against Alabama. A pretty good defense the last time I checked. Watch the line surge come off the ball, the vertical push that opens the run game north and south.
That's what we talked earlier. When your head coach is a line coach, you are going to come off the ball because where's he spend all of practice?
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that surge, and that's very, very important. Now, off that run game, now you got play action. This guy's mobile. They give you a lot of things. Kendall Briles, their offensive coordinator, is very creative. They're going to send their wideout out here, fake the ball, and throw the ball downfield.
Well, Kendall Briles, as you said, that Baylor background, you can see it showing up here. And one of the things about him, that play action, because of the run game, you got to be aware of it. Absolutely.
And now they get their wideouts involved. Number 10, watch him on game day. Number 10 is really electric. Here's a wideout screen. Starts outside, moves back inside. Tackle comes out, and then he gets out in the open field. Yeah. Watch the speed.
These, to me, are just outside sweep plays anyway, just long sweep plays. And this guy can really roll when he gets his hands on it.
I mean, look at it. He can run. There's no question about that.
Yes, he can.
You can't coach that speed. And again, they'll get them to a lot of different ways. They're creative. Let's talk about the reverse now. You talk about the reverse. Now they're sending everybody in yellow going one way. The tight end's pulling. He wheels back around. They create a wall, and now this guy gets outside. And again, look out.
Yeah, I think it's really, you watch them. They seem to have a knack for setting this play up during the game if you watch them over the course of a season.
And look at the big man out in front getting downfield. I mean, that's really, really impressive. So let's talk a little bit now about their defense. A 3-3-5. Look at their base defense. 3 down guys, 3 linebackers, 5 DBs, which gives you a lot of creativity, a lot of different things to do with the coverage. You want to run north and south, not east and west, as evidenced by this play.
No question. You better, those 3 threes, they can do a lot of different things. There are a lot of different moving parts. You better get going and get north-south. Stay away from east-west.
And this may be a chance for Penn State's offensive line to really get on track. Now, you want to stay out of third downs. They're very creative. Here, they're going to come right after you. They're good. Missouri's in an empty set here. They bring a guy off the edge, and they disrupt everything in that middle. The guys stay on the line of scrimmage, get all the way back deep and play man-to-man.
That's the one thing about this. I've watched them over the course of the games. They are very creative on their blitzes. They come up with a lot of different looks, a lot of different ways to attack it. They have a lot of people moving around in that scheme.
And disrupting your pass game. Now, going to another third down. Now they show you, they're all up in the line of scrimmage, showing you man-to-man, and now they're going to bail out here and drop 8, and now your quarterback's got to find the open guy.
Yeah, it's surprising how much 3-man rush they do in this scheme.
Yeah, no question about it. And again, just here's Missouri's quarterback just trying to find somebody, and there's people all over the place, not a lot of places to go with the ball. Red zone defense, again, a big category this year. These guys are really good, only giving up touchdowns about 52% of the time. Dropping 8 here, creating some confusion for Alabama.
Well, that's a lot of this has to do with the multiple moving parts within their scheme, what they can do, especially down by in the goal line.
And you can see Alabama's quarterback, who, by the way, won the Heisman, who's pretty good. He can't even find a guy. And they gave Alabama all they wanted in that game. And once you think that's all creative, now you go to special teams. This is one of the great field goal fakes. There's a referee right there. The tight end used them to pick the guy, and they get downfield. Great play by this guy. And
this is planned. This is planned. People have to understand this is a planned play. He is picking off of the official.
And there's that DB can't get around, and there's the tight end, and they get a touchdown against Alabama.
I love number 2's response when he looks back at the official.
He's looking at the official.
You picked me.
Now, and you know what? When you pick things happen. And you know, one of our favorite picks this time of year, New Year's Day, over to Todd.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate how thorough the Bowl scouting report is on Penn State's SEC opponent, and the Nittany Lions' opponent appreciates the chance to play PSU. It's the first ever meeting between the 2 storied programs. The Razorbacks respect the blue and white, but are ready to take the field in Tampa.
Really doing a good job of showing us what to do and what they do, and they're watching the film on Penn State and how they do certain things. So it's pretty cool to see how they've handled this, and they gave us a really good look today.
Kickoff at 12 noon in Tampa, Florida. SEC versus Big Ten, always a classic matchup in the postseason. Razorbacks and Nittany Lions, certainly no different. Should be a good one. We like to think we have a pretty good football IQ on this program. Coming up, we add some AQ to the show, as in former Nittany Lions and NFL offensive lineman AQ Shipley. He's a multi-sport star and now an assistant coach in Tampa Bay. An entertaining and enlightening interview is next on Nittany Game Week. Well, welcome back. Time for our Impact interview. We've had a lot of fun and enlightening interviews so far on the program. There's always something a little more unpredictable with slightly more edge to it when our guest is from Western Pennsylvania. And that's the case this week as we talk with a former Penn State All-American offensive lineman and a Super Bowl champion with the Buccaneers, AQ Shipley. AQ, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule for us. And I got to tell you, I can't wait for the back and forth between you and Scrap.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It always is. Our recruiting times were some of the best.
All right, well, look, I get to fire the first question. You played in the NFL with the Colts, Cardinals, Ravens, and Bucks. Now you're an assistant offensive line coach in Tampa with the defending Super Bowl champ. So tell us about playing for both Joe Paterno and Bruce Arians and how those guys helped you not only as a player, but now as a coach.
Yeah, 2 of the biggest mentors of my life. I went to Penn State and really had no clue kind of what life was, kind of what really how to be a football player. I just knew I was, a big guy that had some athletic ability, and I knew I was going to work hard. And I went to Penn State and I learned so much from Joe. In my 4 years there, I learned kind of just really how to be a professional. And I know college level is really not the professional level, but I know I learned so much on just kind of how to carry myself, how to treat people with respect, do all the right things, work ethic meant everything. And, all those little things that, I learned from him, I was able to carry on so on and so forth into the next level. And transitioning into the pro level, I spent 9 of my 12 years with Coach Arians, and now another one here at the coaching level. And he's been very instrumental in my life as well. I mean, he gave me a shot really when no one would. I mean, it was a, first couple of years in the NFL, everybody looked at my measurables and was not really willing to give me a shot just because of an inch here in my arm length or an inch here in my height. And he gave me my first shot, and I went out and had my first start against the Green Bay Packers and ended up reeling off 70 something more and 120 games later, and most of them were under him. So I owe a lot to him as well at this level.
So AQ, with Penn State coming to Tampa to play an SEC team and hearing about all that SEC speed, it reminds me a lot of the 2007 Outback Bowl. We played Tennessee, and they were supposedly better and faster. And as you know, we ran the power play a few times that day. And Tony Hunt carried it, I think, 30 plus times for $150 or so. So as an offensive lineman, what does that mean to you when you're in a game where you guys are really controlling the line of scrimmage like that?
There's nothing like it. I mean, I think the game has changed so much now. I miss those days of, just line up and smash mouth football and try and take the other team's will. And those days are few and far between anymore. And that's always the rhetoric going into a Big Ten SEC game, right? It's always, they can't keep up with the speed, this, that, and the other. And, we got into a game where I think, if I remember correctly, there was 8 minutes or so left on the clock. And you're right, we just ran power. And they had all-pro linebacker on the other side and Jared Mayo and all-pro safety and Eric Berry. And we were able to just keep running the same play called over and over and over again. And, there's nothing like it when you're standing across and you see the D-line on one knee, they're tired after a 10, 12 play drive. And, you got them right where you want them. And we just kept doing that over and over again until we took their will.
You can still hear them saying, run it again.
No doubt. The best thing ever to hear that voice.
Hey, AQ, since I recruited you out of Moon High School, I'm probably the only guy that knows what AQ stands for. Alan Quay Shipley. Do many other people know that? Probably not. But hey,
Probably
Ship,
not.
I also know this too, that nobody knows that you actually had 2 sacks as a freshman in college. Another little known stat. But here's something I can't figure out, Ship. You played 5,215 snaps in the NFL and only got called for holding 4 times. Okay, that's interesting. But I don't know if you remember the one spring practice, you and I were having fun and you thought you got the best of me. And Coach Paterno was yelling about foolish penalties and things of that nature. And I told the official to call holding on you. And he did, and Joe went nuts on you. It was one of the beautiful experiences of my life, was being able to get you there. But here's my question, Chip. With the way that you're coaching now, do you see, because of the current level of offensive line play being, everybody's in the spread now in college and the RPO stuff and things of that nature. Do you think we are seeing the schemes impacting line play, or has the teaching of line play fallen off?
Yeah, I mean, I think 1,000%. I kind of wish I never would have gotten this career-ending injury because I could have stole about 6 more years in the NFL. I think just with the way that the line play has gone. It's there's some of these guys that come to the league and they've never been in a 3-point stance, right? And then you're asked to come to a pro-style offense with a pro-style quarterback who's never really left the pocket. Now you're forced to be in a 3-point stance. You're forced to be under center. Some of these centers have never snapped under center, so now you're learning how to snap and under center. Some of these quarterbacks have never taken a snap under center. There's still an art to the Iowas and the Wisconsins, and there's a reason, and the Notre Dames, right? There's the reason those guys are successful early in their NFL careers. The Zach Martins, the guy on our team, Tristan Wirfs, to answer some of those guys. I mean, they're built for that pro-style offense. They're used to running that pro-style offense. They're not just kind of running sideways and laterally and running all these RPOs and quick schemes and not any of the downhill stuff. So, I think there's a huge knack for veteran offensive linemen right now, and I think you can really steal a couple years on the back end for some of these veterans.
AQ is going to stay with us. So much more to discuss with the Super Bowl champ and former All-American. We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. And we will continue our interview with AQ. If you want to see the entire conversation, trust me, you do, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire thing, along with other web-exclusive content. When we return, some New Year's resolutions as we move into 2022. And we're still receiving some pride picks from our viewers. We love to receive them and share them here on the show. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week. Time to wrap up this episode of Nittany Game Week. Still one more to go for our season. The new year is upon us, a chance to make some resolutions for 2022. Guys, I'll go first. Two things: more shows on location next year in our second season of Nittany Game Week. And that means more opportunities for Tom to wear his TB logo hat. That's always a sharp look. How about you, Jay?
I think college football needs a commissioner in some way, shape, or form. I think somebody's got to be in charge.
You know, for me, Jay, I want to go back and just want to see the stadiums packed again, marching bands, no mask, and just good, real college football on a beautiful fall afternoon.
All season long, we've been telling you about our expanding depth chart. Don't miss our roster at NittanyGameWeek.com, which includes these local businesses. Our goal is to build a team in the community that supports the show and that you, in turn, support as a viewer to keep our hometowns strong. The depth chart, one of many reasons to check out NittanyGameWeek.com. Plenty of web exclusive content there, like our full impact interviews, including the one from this week with AQ Shipley. He was a lot of fun to talk with. A lot of good stuff from 2021. Spend some time on the site to see what we've been up to on the show. As always, we finish with some pride picks sent in from our viewers. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd Sadowski. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.